Last week, we learned about variables, and we learned what is a variable and how we can use and utilize a variable. Also, last week when we came, we also learned about data types. And we learned about what is a data type and how we can use and utilize the data type. This week, we are going to see practical implementations of them. Now, the first thing in which we're going to discuss today has to do with a topic in which we call inputs and then output. So, input, output. Now, based on the knowledge you should have about a computer, you should realize that a computer has a separate stream for inputting data and outputting data. It has a module that controls, an I/O module that controls all inputs and outputs. Now, based on that knowledge, it means that dealing with displays, dealing with information coming into the computer are handled by a separate module or a separate function, which handles all of that in the computer. With that in mind, over here, we will start our topic by learning about the scanner class. And also learning about the system.out.print function. Now, the scanner class first. The scanner class allows me to bring in outside information into my computer. So if I want to introduce something from the outside to my computer, I would use the scanner class. Now, we will learn about classes later on in our lectures. But for now, note that this is a class. How will I create an object of the scanner class? Because the class here is a set of instructions. So when I implement this, then I've implemented an object of it. And we will look at that in later lessons. But for the scanner class, I can't use a class. I can't utilize a class if I wanted to. I can't utilize it. What I can utilize is an object of the scanner class. So for me to create an object of the scanner class, I must state the class in which I want to state an object of. In this case, the class name is what? Scanner. And then the name of the object I want to create. Now, this name can be anything in which I want. Are we okay? I am choosing to call it CON. It could be display. It could be Tom. It could be Kwame. It could be anything. But the name I am giving my object is what? CON. Are we clear on that? And then I have to bring an equal to sign here and tell the computer I'm creating a new object of the what? Scanner class. And in here, I have to put system.what? E. Now, this line of code here, I don't know if you're going to chew it in your head. I don't know if you're going to remember it. But anytime we have to bring information from the outside into our program, we'll have to type this line. There is no going around. Exactly. The other thing is, again, everything here is how it is. Where it is capital, it will be capital. Where it is small, it will be small. Where there's a dot, there will be a dot. The only thing which will change in this entire line of code I've highlighted is this part here, where I have what? Comma. This could be anything. Are we okay? It is just a name. So it means that this here is the scanner class, but the object of that scanner class is what? CON, which is what? Called. Is that okay? Are we sure? Now, the other part which we have to discuss is this part, the system.out.print. This allows me to display something onto my screen. So anything I want to display something onto my screen, I would use system.out.print. Now, if over here I put in system.out.print and I write in here mark, okay? And then I copy this and I come here and I write system.out.print again. And I say the mark is 45. Are we okay? On my screen, a certain piece of things will happen. Again, people find programming difficult because they forget that whatever you do is what will be done. So there are rules, and there are rules in which you have to manipulate. You have to what? Control. So on my screen, I will have mark printed for me because I told the computer to print on my screen what? Mark. And then it will go to the second line. And the second line is telling it to print what? 45. So what will be printed for me? 45. Just like this. Now, if I come here and I bring a space here, that means over here, what will be added here? A space. If I want the 45 to come to the next line, so if I want the 45 to be here, are we okay? And note, if the 45 comes here, because here there is a space, it means over here too, there will be what? A space. Are you following? Then it means here I have to change it to what? LN. So it means when I bring, that means over here, I have to add what? LN. Which means that print whatever I have over here and move to a what? New line. So it will print mark and move to a new line. And at the new line, it will print space what? 45. Exactly. Every line you control. Every line you control. Now, there are times where we want the cursor to remain on that line. There are times where we want it to go to a new what? Line. So if I want it to go to a new line when it is done, I'll use what? Print LN. If I do not, then I'll use what? Print. But both of them will display something to my what? Screen. Exactly. Are we sure? Okay. If that is clear, then let's use today to introduce ourselves bit by bit. The first program we are going to write is a simple program to ask for a user's name and print the name. Are we okay? So I want to write a program to ask for a user's name, and when it is done asking for the name would be printed onto my what? Screen. Now, I have to write this program. Because some of you here do not have programming knowledge, it means I will have to walk you through the programming process. Are we okay? So what is the first thing I need to do in this program? Over here. The program says I need to ask for a particular username. And then when I get that username, I have to display that username to the what? The screen. That's what the program is asking me to. Now, in your mind, as a developer, the first thing which should come in your mind is the name I'm going to ask from the user. Where am I going to what? Save it. Where? You see, contrary to popular belief, everything you do in a computer is saved somewhere. And once you can save it, then you can manipulate it. So over here, ask the person for the user. I need to ask the person to input his what? Username. Then when I get the username, I need to display the username to the what? The user. Now let's come to this statement here. Input username. This statement here involves two things. I need to ask you, and then I need to what? Receive it. So most of the time, whenever you say input, people's minds, whenever they are starting programming, always goes to the person bringing the data in. But if you don't ask, the person will not what? Bring it in. So this is technically telling you to go and then ask for it. And once you ask for it, you receive what the person is going to provide. Does that make sense? Now, how are we going to ask for it? You see, I have not coded. I'm thinking through the problem line by line, step by step. I'm thinking through it. So if I am saying that this process here involves me asking, and then after I ask, I have to receive, how do I what? Ask. I ask using system.out.what? Print. How do I receive? I receive by using the what? Scalar class. How do I display? I display by using the system.out.what? Print. Now, over here, if I receive it, I have to put it somewhere. That means that I will need to create a variable that is called what? Username, in which the user is going to use to receive the things in which is going to what? Bring. Now, if I have created a username in which the data is stored there, I need to know what type of data type that username is going to have. So the data type, because it is going to be a name, I'm going to use the data type what? String. Now with this knowledge, I can now go and build my what? Program. Because line by line, I know what is expected of me and what is supposed to be what? There. So now I have to build my program. I have to put my program into what? Action. So what do I have to do? I have to open my editor. And in my editor, I have my IntelliJ. So my IntelliJ is here. In my IntelliJ, I need to start a new project, right? So I'll go to File, I'll click on New, and I'll click on what? Project. Are we okay? Are we sure? Sure. So let's look here first. Once we are done, then I'll let you guys create a project, okay? So the first thing I need to do is give my project a name. Normally, the project name will start with a capital letter. Because in our later lessons, we will see that anything that has a capital letter in it is a class. You can see that whenever I type the system, it starts with a capital S. The scanner starts with a capital S. Anything which starts with a capital letter is a class. So over here, the project names are normally capital letters because that is the class name that is going to be what used. So here, I'll call my program name collection. And then the programming language of choice is Java. I'll be using IntelliJ. And over here, I'll be using the Eclipse JDK. If you don't see this here, when you click here, you can click on download JDK, and then you can search for the vendor you want over here, and then you can find it. Once you are done, then you click on the create what button. And in doing so, I would have my work created for me. It will provide me with an SRC file that has my main Java class. Let us all create our project in the IntelliJ. So we are all creating a project called main collection. One way, you don't see the main collection. So Jeffrey, they are downloading there so that we continue, okay? Can you hear? All right. Is there any difference between the different JDK? Yeah. Based on the company, it provides different libraries that you can use. But all of them will have, most of the libraries will use the class. The Scala class, those small, they have them. But going further, there will be different libraries there that you all fetch from. Is it done? Okay, whilst we wait for it to be done, let's look here. So once it is done, it presents you with this window here. Are we okay? Now, in this window here, you see the SRC file, which stands for your source or your resources file. Okay. And then in there, you would have the main.js file. Are we okay? So when I double tap the main.js file, which is a class file, I'll have my main class. And inside my main class, I'll have my main method. Are we okay? And then in there, they'll just put in hello world over here. Every program you run will have to pass through the main class. Every program you run. Note, your program may have multiple classes, but whatever it is, for it to run, it has to pass through the main what? Class. That is not negotiable. Are we okay? And in the main class, it must pass through the main what? Method. That means that over here, every program you write will have to, at some point in time, come and pass through here. Are we okay? Now, in here, I don't want this piece of data, so I'll remove it. Now, let's come back to the little piece of analysis in which we did over here. In the analysis, we said that we would have to create a variable which is of type what? String. So I have to declare a variable which is of type what? String. So I'll just say string. Note that the S in the string is a capital letter. And then we'll have what? Username. And that is the name of the variable I want to what? Create. The next thing I have to do is create an object of the scanner class. The object of the scanner class belongs to a group of libraries that belong to Java. So the code that will go and put the thing on the screen and all of those things, they're already there. They're already written already. Yours is to just implement which of them you want. So if you want that entire library, it's not part of your code here. So you would have to go and import that what? Library. So in here, I have import. Note that you can see that I am outside my main class, right? Because the moment I bring it here, it means it is something which is functional. Outside it, it's not functional yet. So in here, I'm importing. And what am I importing? I'm importing a Java utility. To be honest, I always let the computer do it for me so much that I've even forgotten how to import it myself. So import this Java, right? Good. So I'm importing a Java utility. Now, the moment I bring dot here, you can see the various utilities I can go and pick from. So I can pick from utilities, AWT, IO, applets, NetBeans, security, time, SQL, text. I can go and import from all of these libraries, which are there already. But the library in which I am concerning myself with is the utility library. And in the utility library, I'm going to look for the what? You can see that in the utility library, the moment I bring the dots, these are all the things that are in the utility what? Library. Are we okay? Now, if I bring the star button here, this means that I am importing every single thing you would find inside the utility what? Library. This is very, very bad because some of the things there, I may not use them in my program. And the moment I import it, it means they'll take space, which means my program will become bigger. All of us in this room here, we like WhatsApp. Why do we like WhatsApp? Because when you tell your friend to download WhatsApp, so WhatsApp there 300 megabytes and 400 megabytes. So if WhatsApp was 2 gig, would you download? No. So you want your application to be as light and as small as possible. So in here, instead of us bringing star, we type in what? Scanner, so the computer knows that all we want for you to go and bring from the utility library is what? Scanner. If I do not write this code at the top here, I cannot come here and say scanner CON is equal to new scanner into bracket system dot what? In. I can't write this statement here if I don't go and import what? Scanner. Are we clear? The moment I write this statement here without importing it, it will be flagged as an error immediately because those utilities are not part of my program. Exactly. Now, the next thing I need to do after doing that is to move into the logic in which I did. The logic says that I need to ask. And what will I use to ask? System.out.what? Print. So I need to ask. So here I would say system.out.what? Print. And I want it to remain on that line, so I'll not add the ln. And in here, I'll put in a string that I want to display. Anything I type here would be displayed how I type it. So here, I'm typing in, enter your user name, semicolon, and a space. That means that on my screen, I should see enter your username, semicolon, and what? A space. Then the next thing I have asked, so I must what? Receive. And what I receive, I have to put it into my variable. Are we okay? So here I'll have username is equal to CON, and the CON is the object of my scanner class. So you can see that when I bring a dot, it gives me various things I can do with that word, object. And one of them is for me to bring in the next word, line. So I'm telling the computer that bring to me and put it into the variable username, the next line that you see, the next piece of input that you see. Okay. Once I have that, I can then tell the person using system.out.print with an ln because I don't want it to be on the same line as what I had previously. Your user name is, with a space, I'll bring a plus, and then I'll bring username. So this will be displayed like how it is because it's in double quote. But over here, it will go and pick the content of our variable username. So now I can run this program. If I run this program, it will build, it will make sure everything is okay, I have no errors. Now at the bottom here, you can see that the program is running. Can you see that? Asks me to enter my username. I say my username is Kofi123. And I press what? Enter. And you can see that your username has appeared. And what is beside your username? 123. So again, the program will ask, you will type and press enter, and it will receive it and go and put it in what? Username. And once it puts it there, to display it, I brought your username is, and then the variable name, and the content of the variable will be shown. And the content at this point in time is what? Kofi, 1, 2, 3. Let us all try and see if we'll get the same results. Yes. Eclipse. Oh, Okay. Yes. Oh, they were those online, they were trying to do what you see on the screen. So I was with them. Sorry. Okay. One thing in which I've just noticed when I went round was that most of you, your typing skills are very poor. So there is a software in which is called Mavis Beacon. Do we all know what Mavis Beacon? Do we all know Mavis Beacon? Are you sure? This week, when you go,
Yes, sir.
go and learn Mavis Beacon and how to type as quickly as possible. Because your typing speed there for improve. Okay. We are going to work on a second piece of the question. Those who is not coming, we'll sort it out before you go, okay? We would have to install a new application for you. One of you should read the question you will see on the board. One of you should read the question you see on the board.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Can I read it?
Sure.
Okay. There are 3 sitting categories at the stadium for a softball game. Class A seats cost $15. Class B seats cost $12. And Class C seats cost $9. Write a program that asks how many tickets for each class of seats were sold, then display the amount of income generated from ticket sales.
Okay. So the program is asking us to write a program to, okay, let me not presume. Who can tell me this question? What do they want us to do? And before you answer that question, let me make this caveat over here. Are we okay? Most people think that programming is this, like this question, this is programming. It's not. The programming is what we did earlier. This what we did earlier, meaning this one, where I explained to you the structure, what we use to do display, what we use to take input. That is the programming. How we will implement it is you. No one tells you this when you're learning. All the people you see, I want to learn programming, I want to learn programming. The reason they stop is because they start to get problems which are difficult, and they realize this is not for me. That is fact. So your ability to see information, process it, and get it out is very important. So whenever you teach a programming class and people start to do this, then they acquire it, you realize they don't succeed because they don't express their innermost thoughts. Are you following what I'm saying? Everything is internal when it comes to programming. How you think of it is wrong. So it's you saying it that you know it is what? Wrong. Then we'll correct it, then we move on. Do you understand? And again, one thing in which I have to put in here too is that whenever you ask that question, it is assumed that you are asking that question for yourself. That is me, the teacher. Me, I can go. So how will you do it if I am answering it for you? I am coding myself, so I'm getting better. You are not getting better. And do you see where the problem lies? So the question here is this. Based on this question you see here, what do they want us to do? And that is the question in which a lot of programmers don't answer well. So you go to a company, oh, Pacho, we're a programmer. I'm a programmer. So we are website, mommy. Then you watch the way your stomach is hungry and the fact that you don't have money in the house. And you say, oh, for this one, I'll take 5,000. But that job there should have been 30,000. Why? Because you didn't know what they wanted you to do. So in your mind, you think you're just doing a site for them to display their, but they want to do online payment. They want to do user experience. They want to take feedback from users. All of these things are things you have to spend hours coding and what doing. But you, the programmer, you do not know what they want you to do. So that question here is very, very pertinent. What do they want you to do here? Who can tell me? In one sentence. So they want you to write a program to compute the income generated from tickets at the stadium. That's what they want you to do. So you see, at the end of the day, if your program looks nice, if there are colors in the program, if your program can jump, if you click here, then this one pops in here, all of those things are irrelevant if your program cannot compute the income what generated. So once you know what they want you to do, then that brings in another question here. How do you get to what they want you to what do? So what data do I need to get from the user for me to know the income generated? Based on the question. The number of tickets sold for each category. Each seat. So for me to know what I want to do, I need to get the number of seats sold for each what category. Okay. And at the end of the day, what will I get? I will get the what? Income of the organization. How will I get the income of the organization? I will get the income of the organization by adding the number of seats for each place and then the total pricing of those what? Seats. Let's start from the top again. Let's start from here. There are 3 seating categories at a stadium for a softball game. Class A seats in Ghana will classify Class A seats as VVIP. Those people are paying $15. Okay. Class B seats will classify Class B seats as VIP. They are paying $12. And then the popular star, the best place in the stadium, they are paying $9. Now, here's the question in which they are asking you. All of these parts here are preambles to the question, right? And here's the question. Write a program that asks how many seats for each of the class of cities were sold. So I need to know, Class A, how many tickets did you sell? Oh, I sold 4 to you. So I say they didn't calculate it. How many did you sell for class B? Oh, I sold 20. Oh, Popular Star, I sold 1,000. Because Popular Star, people only paid 1,000. Okay. Now, if I know how many seats you sold in A, B, and C, and I multiply it by the total amount of tickets that it cost, then I can know how much you sold for that area. And if I add them all together, I'll know the total income you got, the total amount of money you got. Does that make sense? So again, if I know how many seats you sold in A, how many seats you sold in B, how many seats you sold in C, if I add all the categories up, I should get the income in which you are making. Does that make sense? Are we sure? Okay. So based on the analysis we just did, it means that for me to get my income, I need to ask for class A, class B, and class what? C seats. Does that make sense? How do I ask? I would need the scalar class, and I would need system.out.what? Print. Are we following? Okay. If I ask and I receive, I must put those things I have received into something, into a variable, into a location I can hold. So you can see here, I have seat A, seat B, seat C as the variables which will hold the number of classifications in seat A, seat B, and what? Seat C. So it means that if I come to my IntelliJ and I am here, and I go and click on File and New and Project, and I need to give my project a name, I'll probably give it a name called what? Stadium. Now in here, I'll click here, open up here again for me, right? Are we on here? Now in here, I need to create a variable for seat A, comma, seat B, comma, seat what? C. But creating variables like this in Java is wrong because they do not come with their data types. You need to add the data type to the variable name in order to declare it. Now, back to my thing here. The seats of seat A, if in a test of people are coming and I'm taking their tickets, I'm counting them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What type of data type am I using there? I'm using what? Integer. Because there's no person who will come who is a fraction. That means that over here, the data type of seat A is going to be what? 8. The data type of seat B is going to be what? 8. The data type of seat C is also going to be what? 8. Again, I can also write this as int seat A, comma, seat B, comma, seat what? C. And then the last one will end with a what? Semicolon. So I can either write it like this or like what? This. I prefer the first one. So where all my information will be gathered for classification A, B, and C, I have them here. Income is money. And because income is money, there will be coins. Do we agree? So it means that over here, instead of me using int income, I would rather use double income because of the decimals which would be what? There. Anything I put there, there's a reason for it. I must know the reason why it is. In here, I will be asking the user to enter something. That means that over here, I need to create an object of my what? Scanner class. Now, I can ask and what? Receive. Why? Because I have something to receive it in, and I have the thing I would use to what? Receive it. That is the scanner class. So now I can go system dot out dot print ln into brackets. Let me cheat a bit and copy this one and say enter class 8C sold, semicolon that. Over here, I don't want the ln to be there, so that here I'll do it this way. Now, I have asked for class A seats to be sold. So the person will enter the number of class A seats and press enter. So I have to what? Receive it. So over here, I have seat A is equal to con dot next int. You can see that, say there was a string, I use next what? Line. But if it's an integer, I'll use next what? Int. If it's a double, I'll use next what? Double. If you are very observant, when you bring the dot here, you can see we have int, double, byte, short, and all the things in which I can use the next to go and pick. It's Boolean, that, and that. Can we see that? But in my case, because this is an integer, I'll tell it to go and bring to me the next word, integer. With that, I'll move to seat what? B. So please enter seat B. And with that again, I would use this to go and bring me what? Seat B. With that, I can move to seat what? C, or classification C. So this will bring me all seat C1 tickets. It is at this point, and it is only at this point, that I can say income is equal to everything you have in seat A times 50 plus everything in which you have in seat B times 12 plus everything in which you have in seat C times what? 9. Why can I do this at this point? Why is it that this code here, I just don't bring it over here? Because at this point in time in my code, I haven't asked for what is the seat sold in seat A and seat B. So if this code is in this section here, it is wrong. But it doesn't make logical sense to what I am doing. Everything has a time and a place. So I have to put whatever line, and that line has to be there to make logic on whatever I am doing. That means that after I have done this, it is only at this point in time in my code that I can say system dot out dot print the income of the stadium is plus what? Income. So now I can run this And over here, how many tickets were sold in seat A? Oh, seat A, for the day they sold 2,000 tickets. Seat B, they sold 1,500 tickets. Oh, for the Popular Star, they sold 6,000 tickets. So the income the stadium made is what? Yes. So everything you see over here, all the English in which was over here, all of this grammar, all of the grammar over here. Sorry. All the grammar over here. There was a stadium and all of the grammar you see here. This grammar is broken down into this. That is what we'll be doing for the next 12 weeks. We'll be taking complex problems, then we'll learn structures in programming, and then we'll solve. It is daunting whenever you're starting programming. And this goes for those people who do not have an IT background. You'd realize whenever you hear programming and it starts out like this, you go, oh my God, what am I doing? And all of that. It comes with practice. That word cannot be excused. So I understand we have busy times and the courses are plenty and life and all of those things. But if you are not practicing, you will not do programming. Let's not lie about it. Try this and we'll try another question. So write the code over here and try on your computers. Create a new project, because now you don't have to create a project, right? Call it Stadium and type the code in there and see if you get the same result.